гост работи в сърцето на тази връзка между рационалното и вдъхновяващото. Той е Майк Голубев, технологичен ръководител в Amazon Web Services на звената медии, развлечения, игри и спорт. Какво променя генеративния изкуствен интелект? Тук, Майк, welcome on the stage.
Thank you.
It's your second time here, right?
Yes.
Many things changed since
Exactly.
our last meeting. Or?
Exactly. You're doing a good segue to my introduction, actually.
Yeah. Good.
So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Indeed, I'm Mike Golubev, and I'm a tech lead for media, entertainment, games, and sports at AWS. What this means is that I lead a team of solution architects working with our customers on adopting generative AI across the industry in Central and Eastern Europe. And today I wanted to share with you some of the insights that we have observed by companies, so what works in production, what doesn't. But before I do that, indeed, I wanted to start with a personal story, because I was on the stage approximately exactly 1 year ago, speaking at Digital Trends 2023. And at that time, I had a couple of customers in the media industry. Of course, we were working on some generative AI projects with them, so I have shared some insights on this scene. But to be honest, I was almost accidental here. And guess what? 1 year later, a lot have changed in my life. So starting from January, I'm actually responsible for our generative AI field technical strategy across architects in Central and Eastern Europe. And starting from September, I'm actually 100% of my time in this industry, because I'm now a tech lead for media and entertainment. So the conference definitely has changed my life. And let's now take a look at what has changed in generative AI since last year. So in 2023, we have seen a rapid ascent of generative AI into the forefront of global conversations. So it was part of boardroom agendas, multiple different news. There was influx of venture capital. But I would say that companies were still learning this new technology and trying to understand how to apply it in their business. And therefore, 2023 was the year of proof of concepts. Now switching to 2024, and I would say more like second half of 2024, we are moving to the year of production. More and more companies are bringing generative AI applications to the production usage. And actually, to do that, they must also adopt the production mindset. So companies start asking themselves, how do I integrate generative AI systems to the rest of my systems landscape? How do I decrease costs for generative AI? How can I choose the right tools in generative AI for different tasks? I cannot use the same model everywhere. These and many other questions in compliance, governance, responsible artificial intelligence bring more and more innovation, more and more investments into this area. And of course, organizations expect generative AI to deliver on these investments. And we still see a lot of interest from the companies who plan to adopt generative AI in the next years. But before I jump to the use cases where they plan to do it, I wanted to just reiterate on some technical basics. Generative AI uses the latest advancements in machine learning technology. And the same as in machine learning, the main concept is a model. In generative AI, it is foundation model. They are super large, and because of that, they can perform a wide range of different tasks, as compared to traditional machine learning models that are usually targeted to one specific task. But let's see what tasks generative AI can perform for us. Interestingly enough, if we look at McKinsey study here, we can see that most of the generative AI impact will be in just 4 key areas. That's sales and marketing, product management, software engineering, and customer operations. What about the rest? There are so many other use cases that we can cover with artificial intelligence. Well, the answer is, let's not forget about traditional machine learning algorithms. And this is probably the first learning from this year that we have seen a lot across our customers. They're not using generative AI for all the possible tasks that they have inside the company, but instead they combine generative AI with traditional machine learning. Now, if you dive deeper into the use cases, we can break them down into 3 main categories. And those of you who were on my talk last year remember that I was speaking exactly about the same categories, so I will just again reiterate fast through them so that we are on the same page. So the first category are your customers, who are getting new ways to interact with your company and therefore get better user experience. Examples of use cases here are chatbots, virtual assistants, or specific features inside your application to personalize the content. Then the second area are your employees, who can increase their productivity and creativity because of generative AI. So again, they can use chatbots to generate some new ideas. They can search for information inside the company, create new content, like it can be marketing content, or for example, source code of your application. Or for example, they can search for insights in data using generative AI. And finally, the last, third area are your business processes. So you can optimize and decrease costs of those by, for example, augmenting the data using artificial intelligence. But what we have also seen is that especially in media and entertainment industry, customers are experimenting with a very, very large number of use cases. But it doesn't mean that in order to stay ahead of the curve, you actually need to adopt all of these use cases. So as almost anything in the technology space, it's always case-by-case basis, and you should analyze which use cases would work best in your company. But it's important that you don't just look at it from technology perspective. You should also think about the impact, the risks, the budget that you have, the team and its skills, and basically take all of these factors into account when you select the use cases for generative AI and when you decide on how you measure the success of these use cases. Now let's get specifically to media and entertainment. And here we see three key areas where our customers are using generative artificial intelligence today. The first is creating the content. Of course, most popular are images and videos, but we also see companies in the space experimenting more and more with music and audio. And these are very expensive assets to create. They're also hard to experiment with, but they're so crucial to the user experience. So that's why companies are hoping that generative AI will help to tackle this large challenge. Then the second area is related to working with text. Again, it is quite common across all the industries, but in media and entertainment, specific use cases are generating commentary, translating text to different languages, or for example, summarizing different content that you might have. Finally, the last area where we see the most interest is advertising. And actually, compared to audio and video, it's vice versa, really easy to experiment with. And therefore, some companies prefer to start not with the most challenging issue, but with low-hanging fruits so that they can start getting benefits from generative AI as soon as possible. And speaking about low-hanging fruits, actually, I didn't put it on this slide because it's common not just in media, but we see that many of our customers prefer to start with internal, so to say, back office use cases, like, for example, assisting your software development team or creating an intelligent internal search. So now I wanted to look into three industries within media and entertainment more specifically and discuss top use cases that we see across our customers here. So let's start with media. And in media, probably number one use case from technological point of view is video transformation. But how does it translate to the actual business use case? Well, one example is here. Let's say you are a fan of classical Disney movies. So using generative AI, you can improve their quality, improve the resolution to today's viewing standards. And we see some of our customers doing this on demand for their premium subscribers. So they have a large catalog of digital assets. They have been created through many years. Not all of them are the super resolution quality. So premium paid subscribers can get that with generative AI. Another popular use case is analyzing digital assets and categorizing them. A lot of companies in media and entertainment have large catalogs of images, videos, sounds, but they either need to categorize those manually or sometimes even recreate the assets when they cannot find the right one. So what generative AI can do here is it can analyze your catalog of digital assets, create a separate database with all the metadata, and then you can search it, basically query it fast for any asset that you might want. And you can do this in a regular human language. Again, very popular both in media and in games industry. And by the way, another thing here is that the same technological use case, but different business use case, is something very popular across media, where there is a lot of user-generated content. This is, of course, content moderation. So using generative AI, you can make sure to avoid toxicity in the community. And then I wanted to share a couple of customer stories in this industry. But the first one I've decided to start with is from AWS partner Neurons Lab. And it's actually not in production yet. It's still proof of concept. But the reason why I wanted to share it with you today is I've actually heard about it from Neurons Lab a couple of weeks ago. We met at one of the conferences in Prague. And they've talked about this use case. And I've thought, how cool it is. So customer is Sentiment. And they specialized in editing trailers for TV and film productions. So basically, X Factor, Olympic Games, FIFA World Cups, different movies. So basically what they wanted to do is to revolutionize, wow, that's a hard word, the post-production of short length videos. So they have used generative AI to analyze the movies and tag them. So they were searching for specific sentiments, specific actions, specific dialogues, and then after that, it is possible to create a personalized trailer for different audiences, which hits exactly to their interests and needs. Just imagine how cool it is to get a personalized trailer that works best for you to a movie. And the business results that they expect is to increase the viewership and ticket sales. As I've mentioned, it's still proof of concept, so there is a final human review right now, so it's not fully automated generative AI. But I would say that's also something we see across the board, that customers who can move their use cases to production quicker are the ones who use, so to say, augmented AI. So basically combining human intelligence with artificial intelligence and keeping human in the loop. Another story that I wanted to share is from Thomson Reuters. They have created Open Arena, which is an internal playground for their teams to experiment with generative AI in a controlled manner. So this way, even the employees who don't know anything about software development can create their own solutions. And a couple of examples of such solutions created in Thomson Reuters is, for example, text research solution, or, for example, field correspondents have created a solution to translate tricky phrases into another language. And the reason why I shared this story with you today is I wanted to highlight two facts. First, the importance of experimentation. Generative AI is still a very innovative area, and you need to make sure that your employees have the right tools to experiment with it. Not all experiments will be successful. Second is how important it is to enable your whole team, at least in the basics of artificial intelligence, like, for example, prompt engineering, basically understanding how to send the instructions to the model. Last year, many people were thinking that prompt engineer will be like a separate position, and this will be, let's say, one person in a company who would know how to communicate to the models. But what we see today is that actually it must be almost all the employees. So the second industry that I wanted to discuss today is betting and gaming. And here, number one use case is, of course, responsible gaming. So basically using artificial intelligence to analyze and, if required, proactively intervene into problematic gaming behaviors. Except for that, there is content generation, which is also an important use case in betting and gaming, detecting first-party and third-party fraud before it occurs, and definitely personalizations. So it's both about personalizing the content, as well as we see some of our customers actually even personalizing the games in order to increase the conversion, improve player retention, and improve the engagement of the players. And the story that I wanted to share here is from Tipica, which is a large customer in this industry, well, at least in Germany, where I currently live. They're really large. And this story is not about generative AI use case. It's actually about Tipico building their modern data strategy. And probably it doesn't sound as exciting as the cool things that AI can do for us. But if you remember last year, I've said that data is your differentiator in the world of artificial intelligence. And I'm still sure in this statement. So before you make sure that you have the data that you can access fast and with reasonable cost, generative AI use cases will be very hard to implement. So what Typica have done is they have migrated from traditional databases into a cloud-based data warehouse and started building data lake architecture, which helped them to improve the access speed to the data and decrease the storage costs by 75%. And this, in turn, has enabled them to start experimenting with generative AI. Finally, the last but definitely not least industry that I wanted to discuss is sports. And here, number one use case is related to viewers' engagement. So basically providing some additional insight to sport highlights to make sure that viewers continue watching your broadcast. Actually, this screenshot here is a real NFL broadcast from Amazon Prime Video. So we already have this, or colleagues from Prime Video already have this feature in production. Another important use case is text generation. So creating the basic narrative, paraphrasing, translating to other languages. Again, I will not go deep into the details here because this is something that we were expecting to be one of the trending use cases last year. And I've actually already was speaking about Fox Sports, who has implemented it. So last year it was still proof of concept. This year they have brought this use case to production. And when I was thinking about which customer stories should I share in this category, first I thought I shouldn't speak about Bundesliga. First of all, last year I've mentioned 2 case studies from them. The first one was related to personalized recommendations powered by artificial intelligence. And the second one was Bundesliga match facts, which is one of my favorites because I really love getting insights from data. But then I thought, well, they will still be on the stage. Let me show one more example. Probably they don't mention it. So hopefully it will not be repeated later on today. And let's jump directly to the video. So what you can see here is a football match. And at the top, you see 3 columns. Generative AI is basically generating live commentary for this match in different languages and different communication styles, which might better fit different audiences that you have. And yeah, here you go. You can see that there was some goal, so it has appeared almost immediately there. And just imagine one thing. Last year, when I was staying on this stage, I have shown you a very, very simplified demo of a similar use case, where I was just using some artificial data to generate the comments. And you see, less than a year later, Bundesliga already has implemented it. I think that's super impressive. Then one more case study that I wanted to share today is from Formula 1. So Formula 1, to be specific, it was actually from the Canada's Grand Prix earlier this year. So they have decided to use generative AI to create multiple trophy designs. So as a prompt, or as an instruction to the model, they have passed the values that they want this trophy to represent. Of course, there are also some formal requirements from Formula 1 to the trophy design, which they also pass to the model. But don't forget, it's not just image generation. Trophy is a thing that must be produced physically. So the model must also think about structural integrity of this trophy. And to add even more complexity to that, Formula 1 has also created an application for their fans to be able to create their own trophy designs using generative AI. So let's take a look at the video. This is the trophy designed by artificial intelligence. Of course, that's not the only use of generative AI in Formula 1. They are also searching for some insights in historical data, and they are also analyzing technical issues during the race using artificial intelligence. So, as a summary of my talk today, I wanted to share with you some of the steps that I have seen working with customers in media and entertainment industry adopting generative AI. First, it's very important that you don't just jump directly into a new popular technology, but start with your business outcomes and work backwards from them to see how generative AI can help to reach those. Second, as I've mentioned, it is super important that the whole team who will be working with generative AI understands at least its basics, like prompt engineering. So it's not just about software developments or data scientists. It's actually the whole team who needs to be able to do that. And in order to assist the team, you can use foundation model playgrounds like the ones provided by AWS. Then it is important, when you have one use case that you have selected, to also find the best model that would fit this use case. I would recommend to use one of the existing models and not train your own one from scratch. And I would recommend to limit it to just one model and start a proof of concept. It might sound obvious because proof of concept is basically the first step in most of the technical projects, but in the innovative areas like generative AI, it is especially important, so I wanted to highlight it here. Then my next point might actually sound a little bit contradicting with the third one I made. So after you implement the first use case and you look into other areas where you can apply generative AI, I recommend to think about using the right tool for the job and not use the same foundation model for all the use cases you have inside the company. So first, it might be that smaller foundation models that are also faster and cheaper can do this task with the same level of accuracy, like text summarization is an example of this task. Or, as I've mentioned in the beginning, you might want to combine generative AI with traditional machine learning algorithms. And finally, my last advice is to keep human in the loop. As I've mentioned before, that's not mandatory. You can build fully automated flows using generative artificial intelligence, but those would take more efforts, would require more guardrails, would require more testing, and therefore would take longer time to implement, and therefore you are also delaying the time when you can start getting benefits from generative AI and start getting your team experienced in this new technology. So finally, if you're interested to learn more, please visit our landing page for media and entertainment on the AWS website. It's not just about artificial intelligence, but about overall creating, delivering, and monetizing content using cloud-based solutions. And that's it from me for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out in LinkedIn or by email. Thank you very much for your attention.